Once upon a time, on a farm in a strange land, far away,
Far away.
there lived a little pig who was different from all the other pigs around.
He was green.
Are you telling this story or am I?
You. Sorry. Fingers on lips. Shh.
He was different from all the other pigs because he was bright green, like almost glow-in-the-dark green.
Glow in the dark green. Like the paint they have in the railway tunnels? That's the glow in the dark like they have in the railway tunnels.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, are we interrupting or are we listening and sleeping?
We are listening and sleeping.
Good. Now, the little pig, he really liked being green. Not that he didn't like the color of normal pigs. He thought pink was nice too. But what he liked was, he liked being a little different, a little bit peculiar. The other pigs around him didn't like him being green, though. They were jealous and they bullied him and made his life a misery.
A misery.
And all this complaining just aggravated the farmers, and they...
What's aggravated? Sorry, Katurian.
It's all right. It just means it got on their nerves.
Got on their nerves.
It got on the nerves of the farmers, and they thought, we'd better do something about this. So one night, as all the pigs lay sleeping out in the open fields, they crept out and snatched up the little green pig and brought him back to the barn. And the little pig was squealing, and all the other pigs were just laughing at him.
Bastards.
And when the farmers got him to the barn, what they did was they opened up this big pot of this very special pink paint, and they dunked him in it until he was covered from head to foot, and not a patch of green was left. And they held him down until he dried. And what was special about this pink paint was it could never be washed off, and it could never be painted over. It could never be washed off, and it could never be painted over. And the little green pig said, "Oh, please, God, don't make me like the rest. I'm happy in being just a little bit peculiar."
I'm happy in being a little bit peculiar, he says to God.
But it was too late. The paint was dry, and the farmer sent him back out into the fields, and all the pink pigs laughed at him as he passed and sat down on his favorite little patch of grass and tried to understand why God hadn't listened to his prayers. But he couldn't understand, and he cried himself to sleep, and even the 1,000 tears he cried couldn't wash off the horrible pink paint because...
It could never be washed off, and it could never be painted over.
Exactly. And when he went to sleep. But that night, as all the pigs in the fields lay asleep, these strange, strange storm clouds began to gather overhead, and it began to rain, slowly at first, but getting heavier and heavier and heavier. But this was no ordinary rain. This was a very special green rain, almost as thick as paint. And not only that, there was something else special about it. It could never be washed off, and it could never be painted over. It could never be washed off, and it could never be painted over. And when the morning came and the rain had stopped and all the pigs awoke, they found that every single one of them had turned bright green. Every single one, except, of course, the little green pig, who was now the little pink pig, upon whom the strange rain had washed off because of the unpaint-overable paint the farmers had covered him in earlier. Unpaint-overable. And as he looked at the strange sea of green pigs that lay around him, most of which were crying like babies, he smiled, and he thanked goodness, and he thanked God, because he knew that he was still, and always would be, just a little peculiar.